Hey there, welcome to Unit 4, Lesson 2. Today, our focus is going to be on two things: the era of good feelings that we're going to talk about, and nationalism versus sectionalism that starts to rise at this time. So, we're going to start by doing your interactive notebook pages, and then you've got an ed puzzle to complete today that is less than 3 minutes long, so it's not going to take very long at all. And then you have a Padlet to complete as well, based on some art from the time period. So you've got two pages in your interactive notebook we're going to be filling out today. The one is the one about the era of good feelings, and then nationalism versus sectionalism. So if you are currently watching this because you were absent, make sure that you pull this up, pause the video, get it ready to go, and then fill it in as I'm talking about it. Also, remember to do that lesson demonstrated form below so you can get marked present if you are able to get it done. So let's start off by talking about the era of good feelings. Now, yesterday we discussed the War of 1812. So that doesn't sound like something that really would give us very good feelings, but the era of good feelings comes right after that. This is considered to be the time from about 1815 to 1825. So about a good decade's worth of time, mostly during President Monroe's two terms, where during this time, the United States is not in conflict with anybody else, and much of Europe is also at peace. So it's just this like nice, peaceful time that really hadn't been happening at any other time. So why did we actually have these good feelings? Number one, we had won kind of the War of 1812. We didn't lose the war. It was kind of a stalemate in the end, but we didn't lose any land or anything like that. So we felt good that we were able to hold off and didn't like take a catastrophic loss to the English in the War of 1812. And that established the fact that we needed to be respected as a world power. I talked about that yesterday. The Napoleonic Wars had also come to an end in Europe at this point. And this allows the United States to just spend some time really focusing on itself. Instead of having to worry about foreign affairs and what's happening across the rest of the world, we have this period of isolationism, with that root word there being isolate. So we were able to kind of like isolate ourselves and say, you know what, we've got some issues here. Let's work on these. And that's what they were going to do. This was a time period for us to reflect and improve the United States. Also, during this time, we're going to see some changes to politics that happen. I already mentioned this yesterday. The War of 1812 basically brings a decline of the Federalist Party at this point, leading the Democratic Republican Party to be kind of the main political party with the most power at this point. And they are able to secure a majority in the House and the Senate and the White House. So you're able to just kind of see things move a little more smoothly as well. Not as much political infighting happening, as one political party really is the one that takes the lead here. And that allows things to just kind of go smoothly as well. So with all of that being said, you need to understand that at this time, we'd see a growth in nationalism, but also a growth in sectionalism. People are understanding what it means to be American, but they're also heavily identifying with their beliefs and where they live in the United States, kind of forming those beliefs. So let's make sure you understand the difference between the two before you go into your ed puzzle about it. Nationalism is an identification with one's own nation, like a strong identification. If I have this strong feeling towards America, I support its interest. I especially want to do what is best for us. And even if that means it's going to hurt other nations in that process, we're doing what's best for us here in America. Some examples of nationalism during this time would be that creation of the national bank to kind of unify our economy. There's going to be a second national bank that's going to be created. Connecting the nation through increased transportation methods, whether it be by boat or whether it be by establishing roads that are going to easily connect the other states. So these bring a sense of unity to the people. During this time, we also see a sense of sectionalism increasing, though. So sectionalism is going to be an exaggerated devotion and love to your interest in a particular region. Specifically, when we talk about sectionalism at this point, we're talking about the North versus the South. And slavery is going to really become the centerpiece of sectionalism. And we see this in the laws that we are even passing as a nation. So, for example, we'll talk more about this later, but we're going to see the passing of the Missouri Compromise. The Missouri Compromise enters two states into the Union. Maine gets to be brought in as a state, but it's going to be a free state, so it's not going to allow for slavery. Missouri is going to be brought in to the Union as a state, but it will be a slave state. And this was particularly decided upon so that there could always be a balance at this point between free states and slave states, because especially the South was very afraid of the northern free states having too much power over them, thus threatening their practice of slavery. So you're going to see this issue of slavery and these divisions continue to creep in more and more as we get through this unit, because as I said, it's a really long unit, and by the end of it, we're going to be ready to go to war between the North and the South. So things are going to, slowly take their time to get there. So that brings us to the end of the notes. Let me tell you what you're going to do for your assignment. So you have a nationalism versus sectionalism ed puzzle. Again, it is less than 3 minutes in length, so you just need to complete that and submit it. And then you're going to do this Hudson River School Art Padlet. So the Hudson River artists were a group of artists that you are going to read about in this article right here. So you'll just click here and it's going to open up the article about the Hudson River School artist. It's very, very short. That's it. That's the entire thing. So you're going to read through that to get a little bit of an idea of a background information. Then you're going to go through and you're going to look at these paintings. So if I click here, it's going to open up another one. And as it goes here, you're going to start to see some of the art from this time period that was coming out. And you're going to just go through and look at some of these paintings and stuff like that that were made during this time, being sure to take note of like things that maybe look like familiar themes or common themes amongst them. Then you're going to go through and you're going to answer these 3 questions. Now, to answer the question, you're going to click on the plus sign. And when you do that, you will notice that either your name is going to pop up here, just like mine did, or if you're not logged into your Google account, it may show up as you being like the anonymous rhino or something like that. If that is the case, please make sure that you include your name so that I can make sure that you get credit for this Padlet. So I'm going to delete that one right there. So it tells you to remind you of that there. You're going to answer these 3 questions just by hitting that plus button and then answering plus answer plus answer. So using the sources that I've given you here, I want you to tell me the primary themes and subjects that you see amongst the painters. What were they painting? What things were they exploring? Why would these paintings encourage individuals to maybe go out and travel westward? You'll learn more about that as you do the reading and stuff. And then what do you think this artistic movement says about America? And how do you think it actually contributed to that nationalism idea of the United States that we were talking about? So that brings us to the end. You're going to do those 2 assignments. If you finish that and you have time to spare, then make sure you have yesterday's assignment done. And other than that, if you have any questions, you know how to get in touch with me, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, y'all.